Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello everyone and welcome in. Boy, it's so good. It really, really is. I have to tell you, I am thrilled to see all the people coming into the Six Screens as of late. And it's just a constant barrage of new ones coming in as well. And I'll tell you, we have a Facebook group and it's called Six Screens Facebook Group. And I have to really tell you that it's amazing to me the amount of people that are joining that group. I've been getting up just about every morning, and people want to be part of the Six Screens Facebook group. So you might want to join that as well. A lot of people in there posting things about the Watchtower. But the comment that I wanted to make concerning the Six Screens Facebook group is I can't believe the amount of active, loyal, I would say, PME witnesses that are wanting to join. This is really staggering. I've never seen this before. I'm getting, and how do I know they're active witnesses or at least PMEs or questioning the Watchtower or whatever? Is because of the fact I look up before I let people into the group. I want to make sure they're not going to come in and spam us or create issues. So I usually see if they have mutual friends of mine on Facebook, or I usually see if they're in other Facebook groups, anti-witness Facebook groups, and I'm noticing that a lot of these people, not just a few friends, I'm talking 100, over 100 in the last few months, are Jehovah's Witnesses. They're on Jehovah's Witness sites. They're posting in there, and many of those sites don't let apostates post. So these are actually active witnesses that are coming into the Six Screens Facebook group. It's amazing. So anyways, I wanted to bring that up because I found that very, very fascinating. Well, anyways, my name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And boy, we have a lot of apostates up here. As a matter of fact, I mean, I talk about it all the time now. Our convention we had back in August, the first ex-Jehovah's Witness convention up here in the Boston area. We had that August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And what a great time we had up here in Boston, Massachusetts. Well, I have to say a lot of things are going on behind the curtains. And, you know, I've been doing the program now for 20 years, and we expose the Watchtower every Saturday night. We are going full speed ahead. More and more witnesses are leaving the Watchtower. I don't have to tell you that. I think you know it. I think you really know that the Watchtower really is in dire straits. They really, really are. As a matter of fact, the walls of the Watchtower, they are closing down on the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's so clear to see. It's very clear, to me at least, the Jehovah's Witnesses have been getting away with abuse for so many years, but now the walls are closing in. Friends, nobody respects the Jehovah's Witnesses any longer. They really don't. I mean, do you? I mean, most of the people listening to our broadcast, most of these people, of course, are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. But we have many PMEs listening in as well, people questioning the Watchtower. There's no respect. Nobody has respect for the Watchtower organizations anymore. The governments are well aware of what's going on in the Watchtower. We've been talking about that for the last few years, right? All these governments, I counted 12 that are coming down on the Watchtower. They are totally aware, well, maybe not totally, but these governments are aware of the shenanigans, the deceptive practices of the Watchtower organization. Friends, I have to tell you that child abuse lawyers they are like sharks. They are like sharks swimming around the organization right now. They smell blood. Actually, in their case, they smell money. Watchtower is having so many lawsuits. We know it. We talk about them. Even I'm not even going to go into it tonight, but I don't know how many pedophiles I found out about this week in the Watchtower alone. I'm not even going to get into all of that, but I'm going to give you some stories here tonight that are going to be quite fascinating. I think you'll find them very, very enlightening. You see, the Watchtower organization right now, they are getting exposed daily by their teachings. It's false. By their abusive practices, covering up child sex abuse, and their strange policies. On a daily basis, all this foolishness, all of the stupidity in the Watchtower organization is coming to a head. The golden age of Jehovah's Witnesses is over. They can't get away with it anymore. And you're probably saying, Rick, knock it off. You know, you're looking through rose-colored glasses. I'm going to tell you, I would be willing to say 90% of the people listening to this program tonight agree with me. This is not the golden age. What was the golden age of the Jehovah's Witness organization? I don't know. I mean, it could be the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. I think that's when it was. 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s up until the end of the 90s. But, for 30, 40 years, the Watchtower was on a cakewalk. I mean, they couldn't do anything wrong. And when you got on the internet, all you heard about was how wonderful the organization is. Well, all the positive stuff you heard about the witnesses when they would go into a convention in the summer, and the Chamber of Commerce would say, oh, the witnesses, they're spending millions of dollars. They're filling our hotels. They're eating at our restaurants, and how nice they are. What a bunch of baloney. That positive news about the Watchtower is long gone. It is. There's very little that's saying, there's very few people on the internet saying anything good about the Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, major newspapers, the articles exposing the wrongdoing that's taking place in the Watchtower is just absolutely unbelievable. So the golden age of Jehovah's Witnesses is over. Hey, friends, it's a good time to celebrate, right? I celebrate. I'll tell you what, pretty soon I'm going to be doing a happy dance out in the driveway, because I'm really seeing it's coming down fast. It's coming down real fast. See, the witnesses, they want the world to think that they're the only Christian religion on the planet. They want the world to think they're the only ones that show love to everyone. What a crock of baloney. People are seeing their cruelty. People are seeing their lies. It's not about love. Jehovah's Witness Watchtower organization is not about love. It's about cruelty. That's becoming their hallmark. Yes. At one time, they used to really think the world loved them. They really did. But now, people are even sad to say, they're embarrassed to say they're even one of Jehovah's Witnesses. That's how bad it's getting. Well, I have to tell you with full certainty that the Watchtower has got to make a lot of adjustments because of the countries and because of all the adverse press they are getting. They got to make a lot of adjustments, and there's going to be a lot more new light coming down the pike, but they're not fooling anybody. They feel that they can just, erase certain things from the past, make a few changes now presently, and everyone's just going to soak up their teachings and love them. It's over. Stick a fork in the Watchtower. Take them off the grill. They're cooked. They're a cult, and they always will be a cult, and they always were a cult. I can't believe, really, that the majority of them believe, that is, the majority of Jehovah's Witnesses, they totally believe that these changes are directly from Jehovah God himself. All these changes the Watchtower has made in the last couple of years, well, they think it's Jehovah. Oh, Jehovah. He's making these changes, how loving Jehovah is. Well, the delusion runs pretty deep, and many are starting to see it. They're starting to see the Watchtower illusion, and they're saying, that's it. I've had enough. And they are leaving, I mean, the old saying, in droves. Do I have any proof of this? Friends, when you go into court, sometimes you don't need hardcore proof. All you need is circumstantial evidence. Do we have circumstantial evidence that the Watchtower is really losing ground? Of course we do. I mean, we've been doing this now for years. What about all the pictures we show of the conventions in the summer and the Kingdom Halls we show with empty seats? I mean, that's circumstantial evidence, isn't it? I mean, I protest. I go to conventions. I've been doing this for years. I go to conventions. I see what's going on. The witnesses are not excited like they used to be. The loyalty is waning. So, like I say, the golden days of the Watchtower is over. But, there are still many who buy into it all. But I'm going to tell you, and I keep saying this here in the 6 screens, there were 2 times in history that the Watchtower lost 250,000 people in one shot, basically. Well, when was that? Well, it was in Rutherford, when the second president of the Watchtower Society, actually, if you want to be technical, the third president, but go with Rutherford, everybody knows him as the second president. What he did when he took over after Russell died, it was like a coup. I believe you all know about that. I'm not going to get into it tonight, but it was like a coup. And really, a lot of the people, they were known as Bible students. They didn't want anything to do with Russell. And do you know that 250,000 Russellites, or that's what they call them as well, Bible students, left? They didn't want anything to do with Judge Rutherford. So that was back, I believe, in the 1920s, late 20s, 30s, somewhere 31, somewhere around there. So that was when a lot of witnesses, actually Bible students, left. And then also in 1975, when they said Armageddon was coming in 75, it didn't come. Do you know that the following year and a half, another 250,000 people left the Watchtower organization? So anyways, there's 2 times that I could say a good number of people left the Watchtower. But right now, we are on the precipice. We are standing in a position to see millions leave perhaps at once. And I mean that. There are so many PMOs. There are 4 million, according to the surveys that we've been taking here at the 6 screens. 4 million PMOs. Well, what is a PMO, you're probably saying? I mean, everybody probably knows by now, but for those that don't, a PMO means it's one of Jehovah's Witnesses who is physically in but mentally out. Thus, the acronym PMO. So there are 4 million, and I believe that's even conservative. Now, the Watchtower organization says currently they have 9 million Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's almost half of all the Jehovah's Witnesses that do not believe this. I know this is coming maybe to a shock to many, but the reason is they're not speaking up. They don't want to be shunned. They don't want to be disfellowshipped, so they're keeping their mouths shut, but they don't believe it. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're a PMO listening into tonight's program. So I wanted to give you that. The golden age of the Watchtower is over. And I'll tell you what, elders. Oh, let's talk about the elders. The elders are leaving in droves. Once again, I use that little euphemism, leaving in droves, because they are. I get elders writing to me to the 6 screens, telling me how disappointed they are, how they even ever believed all of the stuff the governing body is telling them. They're getting fed up with it. I got information today from an elder. I'll tell you what, it's pretty shocking. It has to deal with what they did just the month of September, just a couple of months ago. September 1st, from what I was told, and I'm just going on what I was told, so I don't know if you can totally take it to the bank, but it makes sense to me. And what I was told is that September 1st, what happened is the Watchtower changed the way that accounting is done in the Kingdom halls. They're no longer going to have like an account servant. You guys remember that? Account servant, he'd take care of the money boxes and empty them and count up and let the elders know that, our expenses are $900 a month and we bought $1,200 in, so we have $300 extra, whatever it would be. Many times it was a deficit. But from what I understand, it really ticked this man off, one of the elders, that they've done this now, just a couple of months back. So nobody really knows, but just a few in the congregation, how much contributions are actually coming in. They're taking the money and swiftly getting it out of there and giving it to the Watchtower. Well, you say, well, that's not a big deal, Rick. That's going to take the burden. That takes the burden off the local elders. They don't have to do as much. They can spend more time in field service, more time with their family. Baloney. That's not the reason. What do you think the reason is? What do you think the reason is? They don't want everybody to know. I mean, I remember when I was...
That's a real serious reason to leave if they can't keep their eyes on the local money.
Yeah, so some of the elders are getting, not just the elders, but even congregation members are starting to say, wait a minute, because I can go back, and I don't want to sound like an old timer here, but I'm 78 years old. But I can remember going back to the 1960s, and they actually would have the brother get up on stage, and he would tell you that we brought into this congregation, $460 this month. And, cleaning supplies were $25. The electric bill was, $65, whatever it would have been back then. But then they would say we have a deficit of $200, or we're ahead by $300, whatever it would be. You knew about that. This is getting people ticked off. The Watchtower is money mongering, and the elders don't like it. And, they're scratching their head. Now, I'm going to tell you something. And you guys are aware of it as well. If you've been to Kingdom Halls, they pass these screwball resolutions, right? Who's in favor of this? So, even if you're not in favor of it, you have to say, okay, that's fine. Let the Watchtower do that. We don't have to have the accounting done locally here anymore. I mean, everybody's in agreement, because I'll tell you what they do. According to what the information given to me today, the brother was telling me that if the other elders didn't go along with this, if the elders would say, well, I have a problem with this, I'm not going to, I think we should just be accounting. We want to account for the money coming in ourselves. We want to be aware of what's going on, and all the elders should be aware of it. So because an elder would not go along with this new arrangement, what do you think happened to the elder? He was deleted. I mean, is that coercion? This organization is worse than the mafia. And really, I'm not trying to disrespect the mafia here, but this organization's worse. This is what's going on. So you got elders upset. You got congregation people upset. You got countries upset. You have ex-witnesses upset. You have relatives of witnesses upset. The witnesses are no longer going to be able to move forward like they were hoping to. And it's all happening as I speak. We are watching the crumbling of, I'm not going to say a major religion. The Watchtower isn't. The Watchtower is nothing more than a pimple on a rhino's back in the world of religion. I mean, it's only 1% of the entire world population that are Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, there are people, if you even went up and I've met people, they don't know who Jehovah's Witnesses are. They have no idea. They they'll say, well, those are guys come to your door. They call them Jehovah's or whatever. But, what the Watchtower has been doing, because they see this hemorrhage, they see all of these people leaving. So what they're trying to do is like anybody would do. If you were a business and all of a sudden all your employees were getting up and packing their bags, what are you going to do as an employer? You better start looking for some more bennies or benefits that you're going to give these people. You better do something to keep them, because they're going to walk on you. So this is the same thing that's happening in the congregations. The Watchtower, it's got to give more of its members, all of its members, more bennies and benefits. They got to do more. That's why they've been letting loose on, people growing, men growing beards and not having to wear a tie or a jacket. It's why they're now allowing, to go to college if you want, and why they're allowing women to finally wear slacks. So all of these things, plus the idea that we've been talking about here in the 6 screens too, is even changing some of the dynamics or some of the rulings and policies around disfellowshipping. We're going to get into that tonight. I know people are saying, did I see JW Broadcasting this month? I did. And it has to do about disfellowshipping. I got to share that with you, but I'm not going there right yet. So the Watchtower is realizing it's got all these people going. So they got to do something. They got to do something to keep them in. They've got to stop the hemorrhage. I mean, don't you think the governing body knows there's 4 million PMOs? I mean, they're not stupid. I can't believe that. I know they're stupid, but I don't think they're that stupid. They have to know that there's so many people that are not in agreement with the Watchtower. They've got people going in a million different directions. So they got to soften the rules that were invented by them. The rules that
they might be calculating. They might be thinking ahead. They might be wicked. They don't care about us, but they're not stupid. I'm sure they have statistics on everything regarding them. I'm sure they have blood statistics of who died. I'm sure they got statistics on who's leaving. I'm certain of it.
Oh yeah, I mean they know what's going on, Pixie. I mean, I can't believe it.
The wonderful show they had called Mad Men, which was about Madison Avenue advertising men in the 50s with the 3 martini lunch and the sassy secretary. When I watched that show, I got such a kick out of it, and all I could think of was, this must be what Bethel was really like in the 50s. They had meetings about everything on that show. How's the product selling? They're aware. Don't they have a meeting every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Yes, they have a meeting. The governing body meets.
They're looking at all those countries. They're looking at political situations. They're looking at how many magazines to print. They're doing what any corporation would do with their own products and their own members.
Well,
just don't share it with us.
Well, that's. Well, see, I'm glad you brought it up. They're not stupid, but they think the rank and file is stupid. They really do.
Oh, yeah.
They really do. Yeah, they laugh at them. And, they're just so, and the poor Jehovah's Witnesses, they are the victims at this point. They're victims of illusions and promises. It's never come true. It's all a big illusion. The Watchtower organization, the governing body, has been created to extort money, property, get free labor, all in the name of God, Jehovah God.
That's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they do. And so many of us grew up in it, and we had childlike faith, and our little hearts were full of belief. And I don't see how people could convert to it, but I do see how people could be true believers of it, because I was a true believer. And I think now they prey upon immigrants and people grieving and the poor. But then how are they going to recoup any money if all their members are so poor? So that's when they had to put the college thing back on. Now we're in an economy where nobody's going to have any work. And I don't know what they're going to do. We're in an interesting time.
Pixie, there are Jehovah's Witnesses. I've been getting information coming into the 6 screens here. There are Jehovah's Witnesses. Many of them are homeless. I don't know what the number would be, but I mean, a lot of people are homeless. But Jehovah's Witnesses, what they're trying to do, and they don't want people to know this. See, they don't, because they're supposed to be, Jehovah's Witnesses are supposed to be the happiest people in the world. And, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't supposed to be homeless. Oh, my goodness, don't. Geez, how would you, as a Jehovah's Witness, Pixie, and I know how they are. I mean, they would look at you because you might want to take a sleeping pill or something as a bad person. They look down on everybody for everything. But I mean, imagine going to the Kingdom Hall and the congregation knows your whole family's homeless. They're going to look at you like you're a dirtbag. I mean, really, they're not going to show any kindness. They're certainly not going to say, well, come on and stay with me. They're not, geez, some guy in the street would do that before a witness. I'm not saying all witnesses now either. I'm not making a blanket statement, but I just know many would have nothing to do with you. Oh, my goodness, that would be, being a homeless Jehovah's Witness, I think, would be the worst thing that could happen to a person. That would be terrible. But, there's many right now, from what I do here, what I have information coming in here, that because of the way the economy is, the high cost of everything, everybody knows it out there. I mean, I don't think this is new to anybody. Everything costs more money today. And the Watchtower, well, the Jehovah's Witnesses are feeling it. And, it's hard enough. Up here in Massachusetts, I couldn't believe it. I saw something come across the news the other day that we have families here in Massachusetts making, $120,000 a year that are just scraping by. I mean, really, think about that. And these are college people. That's the wife is working, the husband's working. They got a degree. They make good money. There's a lot of technology jobs here in Massachusetts, but they're living hand to mouth. So imagine what it must be like for the witnesses. For goodness sakes.
The rents have gone sky high in the cities. The rents now are unbelievable in D.C., London, New York, Boston, San Francisco. It's unbelievable what people pay just in mortgages and rent. And then they have 2 cars. They got to pay insurance on both the cars. And now the food stamp thing, the SNAP thing, and now the federal government's closed. We've got people in Washington with very good salaries that haven't had a paycheck in a month.
Yeah, well, that's something to be said too about that. In other words, what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. If they're not going to give some money to the poor, then these senators and congressmen shouldn't get their pay either. Really. I mean, got to.
The thing is, all these federal workers, these are salt of the earth people. My dad did federal work for 30 years. These are the people that, make sure that your water is clean and make sure that food's inspected. And, these are federal jobs, and they're very good jobs. And these people are out of work right now for a month.
Well, that's the point.
I don't know if they'll be called back to work.
Well, that's the point I want to make, Pixie, is, it's hard enough for people even that are highly educated. There are doctors and lawyers. You wouldn't believe the amount of lawyers I talk to that are starting a side hustle. Now that sounds crazy.
The lawyers in the D.C. District Court right now, that, they're your court-appointed lawyer if you cannot afford one in D.C. There's court-appointed lawyers in D.C. that haven't had a paycheck in a month.
Yeah. So the point, well, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here because I got a lot of stuff I still want to discuss. So let's.
The guy that he got some kind of prize. He's a chef. He's got a soup kitchen in D.C. for the federal workers right now, and he does soup kitchens all over the world.
Oh yeah.
So people are coming to the fore to help, but
Well, wait, Pixie, hold on, Pixie, if you would, let me just kind of take care of the news here. I don't want to get too far into the weeds. So I got a lot of stuff I'm going to try to get out. So let's calm it down a little bit. I appreciate you wanting to come in and talk. And so give me a little chance here to get my message out. And then, I can get you in, but, I want other people too to call in. I appreciate you calling in and being there.
With all the money the Watchtower has, they should help their own people.
Well, yes, I agree. But the point I want to make with all of this hoopla and expenses and what have you, if the world is feeling that, if the average American is feeling the pinch, what in goodness name's sake is happening in witness world? What's happening in witness world? How these people, I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses, I was witness for 50 years of my life. I didn't know a lot of wealthy Jehovah's Witnesses. There are some, but most of them are poor. They're poor people, and they can't even get ahead. They can't get a part-time job because I got to get to the meeting. They have to sacrifice good careers because I got to get to the convention, and the company won't let me do it. These guys have given up a lot for the Watchtower, and now they're hung out to dry. That they've got nothing to fall onto. So I wanted to bring that up tonight. But anyways, the golden days of the Watchtower are over. There's no question about it. And they're done. Take them off the grill. But I wanted to bring up here tonight something. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I'm going to play a part of a video here from JW Broadcasting. And let me just get this up. I have to do this a special way here. Hold on 1 second while I do it. And what it is it appears in the broadcasting. Now, we don't watch what Watchtower does every month. They have JW Broadcasting. And they have a little update to give new thoughts on positions and prophecy and what have you. But now what we got going here, Jeffrey Jackson. He looks like Papa Smurf. You'll see him here shortly. But he's in there giving a talk, and it looks like they're going to be changing. I just got to share a screen here. Just give me a couple of seconds. So it looks like they're going to be changing their position on disfellowshipping. Now, I'm a little skeptical what's going on here, but I'm going to play a clip. I want you to hear it. We'll dissect it. We'll see if this is real or what. But this JW Broadcasting, it was about an hour long. But near the end of the video, they get into disfellowshipping. And you listen to it. I want to get your thoughts on it. And we'll discuss it together. But it looks to me, what I want you to listen to here is it looks like the Watchtower is starting to take a different approach on how to treat disfellowship people. Now, we know the Watchtower in the last 6 months to a year, they've changed the term from disfellowshipping to being removed. So Jackson here is talking about how to treat removed ones. So you see what you think. I'm going to give my spin. I want you to give your spin when it's over. But let's play it. So listen in. We'll play it right now. Let me just make sure I get the sound up here. Hold on. Let's get the sound up for you. Okay. Listen in. Hold on.
Sinners to repentance. That takes emotional effort. And what if they don't respond and have to be removed? How do I feel about them? How do I speak to them? How do I treat them?
Yeah, like when they attend a meeting.
Exactly. Jehovah deeply cares about how we treat people.
That's especially true in the family. Jehovah condemned the Edomites because of how they treated their family, the Israelites. So that makes me think, how do I treat my family? How do I treat you, in public or in private?
That's a great point. Or am I inclined to be cruel or unkind in what I say or do, even if I feel justified for some reason? What effect could my treatment have on my family's thinking or their relationship with Jehovah? What does Jehovah see? What message would Jehovah have for me if Obadiah came to visit?
look at what we found just by considering the circumstances, asking when the book was written, looking for evidence of Jehovah's justice, and of course, making it personal.
But there's still so much we haven't touched. What other warnings about?
Well, let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. It was enough to get the general idea of what's taking place. So they're saying here that it's, they want to show love to ones that have left. Those have been disfellowship, basically, those who have been removed. And that one brother, he was talking about the fact that, would it be bad to just ignore these ones and be cruel? Well, that's what the witnesses have been doing here for years. As long as I can remember, they've been cruel, very cruel to, let me stop sharing this at this point. So they've been very cruel up to this point. So what did you gather from that? Did anyone?
Rick?
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, this is Nicole. I think they're setting the stage for a big change. I think that's what that is. So they have to do a soft set first. They can't do an update that is very drastic. So they're doing it in small stages. So they're preparing people's minds and hearts for the control of accepting the bigger change that is going to take place. That's what I think.
Well, Nicole, I have to agree with you. And how many times have I said here on the 6 screens what cults and high control groups do? They tell you before they tell you, and then they tell you while they are telling you, and then they tell you what they told you. Right now, we are in the early stages. They are telling us before they tell us. Really, they're dropping little bombs, or not bombs, but little tidbits of information to kind of get the witnesses thinking. And there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. This is a position, and it really is something. And I was trying to listen to it very closely there as I was going through this for tonight's newscast, and I was trying to listen to what was being said. There was a woman, and she was disfellowshipped, and you saw her there. She was dressed up in the Kingdom Hall. And so the brothers and sisters were approaching her, and one of the sisters said, well, we can greet them nicely in the Kingdom Hall. But, they had to get that in very subtly in the Kingdom Hall. So that kind of raises a red flag. It's showing that, well, how are you going to treat these ones outside the Kingdom Hall? Boy, I'll tell you, this is going to be confusing a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is going to be mind-blowing for them. And they got to have their mind really filled right now. And any other thoughts? Anyone? What do you want to say to you? Anyone hear this? You're with us. Go ahead.
Rick, it reminds me of what was said a good while back. I think it was Tony Morris that said something like, they weren't going to, that they were going to go after him about their disfellowshipping practices. And this kind of brings back that statement that he said that they will never change that. But look what's happening. They're changing it, and it's all because the governments are on their tails. I mean, they're having to follow not only what the governments are saying, but like we were talking about a while back about them being involved in the interfaith movement. They're involved with that as well. So, this changing is because they want their money. They want to appear like everybody else. But, this is what they're doing. I really that they're doing this very slowly. They're offering this bit of change, and it's going to be a new light pretty soon, probably, more than likely. And they're just changing this stuff just to get their money. It's really not about the people. Although they make it sound like it is, it's really about the dollar. It's really about the money. That's what they're after. That's what they want, is the money. It's not so much the people, but in order to get that money, they have to make these changes so they can get the government money that they're after.
Well, I agree with you, Donald. This is all about Norway and Sweden. This is all about these European countries that are saying no more money Watchtower. They get money. I told you, we all know it anyways. They get money in these European countries, a lot of money, millions of dollars. The more Jehovah's Witnesses, the more money they get. But now I just want to, what you're seeing on the YouTube and Facebook right now is, if you all remember, in 2016, there was a terrible, cruel video put out by the Jehovah's Witness organization, Watchtower. And it showed a young girl. This was back in 2016, the convention. And then they also made another, I believe they brought it up as well in the 2023 convention. And it was a young girl who committed immorality in the Kingdom Hall. I'm not in the Kingdom Hall, but was someone outside, I guess, the Kingdom Hall. So she was disfellowshipped, and it showed her. I'm going to play the video. I still have the video. I want the Watchtower took it down, but I still have it. I hope the Norwegian and the European countries are watching our broadcast tonight, because this is how they treat people. Let's play it. Let's play the clip. Let me just get back in here. And this is played back in 2016, and I believe it was also played in 2023, just to get the point home on how to cruelly mistreat people who leave the Watchtower. Listen to the video. Hold on one second. There's a lot of buttons to push. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can't get the sound on here. Just give me a second.
I missed being with my family. And they thought about reaching out to me. But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me. It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah.
Is this not blackmail, guys? The only way Sonia can...
Yeah, so the phone, you can see the picture of the phone. The young girl who was disfellowshipped, she called her mother and father. She needed help. She was homeless. She had nowhere to go. She called her mother, and the mother would not even pick that phone up. That's a Watchtower video. How cruel is that? I mean, you guys remember that. And that upset a lot of people. So the Watchtower even took it down. It was one of the most controversial videos they've ever made. And they don't want that up there now, my goodness sakes, with the way that these countries are putting them under the microscope. You're going to have a video like that?
Yeah, that's totally. And for anybody that's from Norway and Sweden, if you guys are listening, I just want to tell you guys that this organization is extremely satanic. It's totally evil. They will do anything to get money from your countries. And I pray that your countries, that you guys will not give them any more money. These people are just making changes just so they can get your money. So be aware of that. This organization is evil. It's satanic. It's utterly evil.
I agree with you, Donald, and we got a lot of people listening in tonight that agree with it as well. So,
Rick, I just want to make a brief comment.
Sure.
I did a poem earlier on the other show, so I'm not going to do one on your show. But I will tell you this. I've been doing these poems and trying to bring in Watchtower doctrines since February. I'm up to 700 poems, and they are changing stuff so rapidly. It's like outdating some of my poems. It's like, God, there's like eliminating me.
Oh, yeah.
That's how rapid it actually has been. That's all I wanted to say, Rick.
All right, well, thank you. It's always good to hear from the King of Dots. But, you say to yourself, yes.
This is Stefan. I just wanted to make a quick comment. Actually, two. I was fully preemie when that video came out. I have two daughters that were youngish at the time. I called myself giving their mom a break, and I took them to the bathroom. And if you have smallish kids at a district convention, you know what going to the bathroom is like. It's a big ordeal, long lines and all that. So I missed a large part of that video because they had to go to the bathroom. But the part when we finally finished, and instead of going back to our seats and interrupting everybody, we just kind of stood around. And there was a large number of moms with their kids in this one area. So we went over there, and you can clearly see the screen. And that part of the video had just begun to play when the daughter was calling her mom, and her mom was standing there washing dishes, if I remember correctly. And she looks at the phone and sees it's her daughter, and she deliberately ignores the call. And when that happened, I said out loud, because I wasn't thinking, I was so appalled as a dad of two daughters. And I said, and I'm standing there with all these sisters as this video was playing, and I said, I would never, ever ignore a call from my kids. And the sisters all turned around and they looked at me. Some were shocked because they were so peony. If Watchtower told them to, kill their kids, they probably would have. And others looked, and they were probably, I could see the look on their face like, yeah, I'm not going to shun my kids. And the kids were small, and you can look down at them and project, hey, 10 years from now, and my kid, just because they got into trouble, and I'm not going to accept their call, anything could have been happening to that young lady. She could have been driving down the road being chased by a maniac. You don't know because you didn't take the damn phone call. So I think, to be honest with you, I think that was really the beginning of my kind of waking up and asking, what in the hell am I a part of? When you're going to sit there and basically direct people through a video to ignore their children simply because they're not witnesses anymore or whatever the situation is. I really do believe that was the beginning of my wake up. Thanks, Rick.
Well, Stefan, that's an excellent call. Thank you for that. That really drives the point home. I'm going to tell you that is one of the most, in fact, I think it's the most controversial video that the Watchtower ever produced. It caused outrage, not only among, non-witness people when they saw it, but outrage even among witnesses that saw it, like yourself. No, that's your flesh and blood. I couldn't imagine. I don't care how wicked my kids were. If one of them called me, I don't know, like you say, maybe they're being kidnapped. Maybe they're homeless and they need food. I could not possibly just, and that was so disgusting to see that mother and father just ignore that girl's call. And, everyone thinks it's wonderful. Oh, wasn't that really a strong witness? A strong witness, that's stupidity. And that's why the Watchtower took that down. So now it's, why'd they take it down? Because they're going to lose a lot of money if the government's found out about that. They had to get it down because right now, Sweden, they've got the Watchtower on the chopping block. They don't like the shunning the Watchtower is doing. Norway, they're taking away the funds because of the shunning. This could have rippling effects. So, they so what's the point of the video now? I mean, this video I just showed you this month from JW Broadcasting. So witnesses are scratching their head. They're saying, are we supposed to completely stop shunning now? I mean, that's what I would get, watching that broadcasting for November. I'd be scratching my head and saying, can I talk to disfellowship ones now? Or what am I going to do? They're saying not to show them cruelty, show them love. So do I talk to a disfellowship one? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, when you brought up the point about foreshadowing just a few minutes ago, if you remember the very last talk, I believe it was, at the last governing body meeting, and the last annual meeting, that brother said that there were going to be changes. Remember, he reiterated all the changes, and then he said that there were going to be other changes coming, big changes that were coming down the pike. So that's your foreshadowing. So they could very well be, like you said, setting up a thing where they're going to somehow relax this concept of shunning. And I just want to say, we should all be so proud of us, you more than me. But all of the apostates, if you want to call them that, the Rick Farrens, the JT and Lady C, all the YouTube channels, all the people that protest, the people that are interfacing with the government, you guys are winning. Watchtower has been forced on their knees to change things that they have sworn. We have all heard them say, we will not change this. We will not change that. This is how we operate. This is what God wants us to do. And now the very things they claim they would never change, they are slowly but surely changing. You guys are winning. You guys are winners. You guys should be so damn proud of yourselves. You have brought this organization down to its knees. And as you say all the time, it's just a matter of time before they completely fold. Thanks, Rick.
Well, you got it, Stefan, and thank you for that. But also I have to tell you, even all of us apostates for years have been pounding the drum of hypocrisy for the Watchtower and what they've been involved with. But now we have the nations. That's what really makes me happy, seeing the nations coming after them. Did someone want to say something? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Someone wants to say something, but evidently their phone is not working properly, so we might get them back. So, anyways, the witnesses right now, they're scratching their head after November broadcast. They're wondering, do I say hi to these people outside the Kingdom Hall? Do I just say hi to them in the Kingdom Hall? Do I socialize with them? The Watchtower is kind of leaving people hanging on even how to deal with these disfellowship ones. So at this point, they're going to have to pick a side here. If you're a witness listening to this program, you're going to have to pick a side. Am I going to speak to a disfellowship one and be loving and kind, or am I still going to be cruel? What do you think, Maverick?
Yeah, hi, Rick. Hi. The thing that really irritated me about this, that clip that you showed, is the fact that they had the audacity to say Jehovah really cares about how we treat people. I just thought, yes, he does. And by the fact that they actually highlighted that, they basically indicted themselves. Because if you actually look at the way we're supposed to treat each other if we're Christians, they have fallen short so many times. And look how many testimonies we have week in, week out on your show and many others all over the internet, how disgracefully they've treated everybody, how cruelly, and yet you have the nerve to go in front of your own platform and say Jehovah really cares about how we treat each other. And another thing as well, Rick, the fact that has to be spelt out is another aspect of it, the mind control side of it for the psychology. The fact that they have to spell out this baby spoon-fed way of how you treat someone. Like, we don't know, love thy neighbor, love your God and love your neighbor as yourself is the two commandments of Christianity that Christ gave us. It's like, it's so patronizing. So if it's going to backfire on them, it always backfires. And we know the real motive. Their backs against the wall, and there's no hole. They're burning the hole in their pocket. How much money they're hemorrhaging. So it's so irritating when you're on the other end of it, because I remember people that I knew for 20, 30 years, and everyone's got their own stories. And you see someone is walking past you, and I'll leave it on this point, but I remember just one occasion where a good friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, who was a witness, and when I disassociate myself, he literally almost ran himself over. He ran into the road to get away from me.
Wow.
And I thought, that's because of one instruction: don't talk to someone who's left for whatever reason. So you've given over your entire power of your own reasoning, your own logic, the scriptures, your own morality, your own friendship, everything's out the window, just based on one word. And now they're going to try and backtrack and act like nothing's happened. Oh, we love people and we love our brothers and sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Well, thank you, Maverick. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 805, you're on with us. Go ahead. Eric, yeah, go ahead. You're on. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was raised by an elder, 40 years or more.
You'll have to shut your TV, sir. You'll have to shut your TV off. We're getting some echoing. Yeah.
What's that?
Are you watching YouTube or TV or something? We're getting some echoing.
Yeah, I'm watching 6 screens right now.
All right, you kind of turn that down and you can talk to me on the phone because it'll echo. Yep. Turn the TV down. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me get it down. Okay, I turned it down.
All right, that's better.
Down.
That's better. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I was raised by my father was an elder for 40 years or more, and he was insane. He was bipolar really bad. And he'd put on a show at the hall, and then a different kind of show at the house, yelling and screaming. Middle of the night, he's at the front door saying, "I'm going to kill myself." And I always thought as a kid, sometimes they kill the family and then they kill themselves. But I've had numerous problems with him, you know, through the years. And my brother also, and we both were breathalyzed at one time up there.
Wow. So you've seen the problems the Watchtower caused your families, brother. Yeah. Geez, well, I'm sad to hear that.
The thing is that, you know, my mother wouldn't do anything about it. She was kind of sheepish. And because she was afraid of what he would do, you know. Hello?
Well, yeah, that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. You have to kind of just tiptoe through the tulips in a situation like that.
Well, yeah, and I did everything as far as I know, I've done everything right, but it all turned out to a pile of doo-doo.
Oh yeah.
In my whole life.
So you're doing.
My whole life's been a mess.
So you're doing better now, though, right?
No.
No.
I have Parkinson's disease. I can barely walk. My first wife, she was. I hate pedophiles because she was molested terribly from 7 to 10. And as far as I'm concerned, they all should be shot. And I don't know why they're put up with why the organization's putting up with them. Now you just remove them. They're no good.
Well, you're
They
absolutely.
never get over it.
No, you're right. Geez, I'm sorry that happened. Now, this is your first time I think you called into the program.
Right.
Well, thank you for doing that. Boy, I'm glad you did. We have a community in here that we all.
Well, I try to get everything off my chest. You can't talk to an elder about it, even if you know them all your life. They're just going to label you a apostate. A rebellious one at that. But the thing is that I still believe in some of the teachings. It's just not there anymore. The female thing is dying on the vine, and I don't know what's going on. Is there a future or not? Or he actually, as far as I'm concerned, worshiped the devil, not Jehovah. He wanted power and control, and he got it as an elder. And he got it as a family member, power and control. It was miserable. The way he treated my brother ended up being a 4-year death life. And then when I told him I'm younger than my brother, but when I told him after the convention in Colorado, I told him that I wanted to go to Brooklyn. He laughed at me, and he did it in front of friends that were coming by his upholstery shop to say goodbye. He did it. He laughed at me and said, "But you want to see what this kid's going to think he's going to do? He wants to be a Bethelite." And he was rotten to the core. Rotten. And he's used as a elder. Jehovah didn't appoint him.
Well, I'll tell you, you got quite a,
Nobody wants to be treated like that, okay? As a kid growing up, it's terrible.
Well, of course, it's humiliating. Hey, you know what I'd like to do with you, brother? What's your name, sir?
No, I'm not giving my name. I know.
All right. Well, you don't.
I don't need any more. I'm 73. I got Parkinson's disease. I don't need any more strife. I've been through 2 divorces, and they're all witness women. I don't know. It's just a story of my life.
Well, it'll get. Well, hopefully.
Right now, I got to be married again. My daughter. I have one daughter from the second marriage, and she treats me as if I'm disfellowship, even though I'm not.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. But
anything about she has no knowledge of my future, of my past, and my future. All she knows is that I was at the farm and this and that, and it's her hope someday to be at Patterson. I don't know why, but that's.
Well,
I wouldn't want to be over there running around seeing all them. When I first went to 124, flying there for the first time, a friend of my father's pulled me aside and said, I need to tell you something. What's that? Well, they're having problems with homosexuals over there. And I go, well, it didn't really register to me, but, they've had this problem for years, for absolute years. And what have they actually done about it? Nothing.
Oh no, they don't. They don't address problems. They don't have the problem. It's you that got the problem. I mean that's what they've done for years. So, but boy, it's just absolutely unreal. And geez, I'm sad to say that these guys mess things up for you. But hopefully your life will get better for you. Geez.
Well, I don't have any life. I have Parkinson's. You don't have a life when you got Parkinson's. You're done. You're washed up. You're just waiting to die.
Well, that's a terrible thing. I wish you the best. It's a hard thing to deal with, I'm sure, but the Watchtower hasn't made it any better. And by having your family members not even want to speak with you and treating you as though you're disfellowship, that's pretty cruel. That's pretty cruel.
Well, my family members are dead.
Yeah.
They're all dead. The only ones that are alive are my ex-wife, two ex-wives, and my current wife. And she's a nice lady. I'm here in Mexico.
Well, geez, I appreciate you calling in. And don't be strange now. You come back and talk to us again, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Well, thank you, though. I really appreciate you calling into the program. And yeah, one of these days, I'd like to have you come on and tell your story. We have a program where you can tell your story of being in the Watchtower, and you don't have to give your name or anything. But I'd love to have you come on that program. Don't be a stranger. All right.
All right.
All right. Well,
I want to note to him that the nicotine patches. Ask his doctor if the nicotine patches will help his Parkinson's.
I'm ready to die. I don't need it. I don't need any of that. Thank you.
Well, it's just in the U.S. Medlit right now. That's an off use for it, and it helps for people. I wish you the best.
Yeah, I just don't. My brother died of it last year.
I'm
He
sorry.
died in May, and then my sister died in '58. She was 58 when she died, but she was bipolar like my father was.
Boy.
I'm so sorry.
And he was just a wicked man. Not in a physical sense, just his mind, power and control. That's what the Watchtower taught him: power and control over others.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm sorry for these troubles. I hope you get some help.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for calling into the program. Thank you. Well, there you go. The new, yes.
No, I'm done.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So when is this shunning going to come to a complete stop? I'm going to tell you when. You want to know when? I mean, I'm kind of thinking they're talking about it, that they're going to have to do something because of Norway and Sweden. So when is the shunning going to come to a complete stop? Well, it's going to be as a result of withdrawal of government money. When the governments don't give them any more money, in Europe, that is, particularly, they get money from the government. When the governments don't give them any more money, then the shunning will stop. Isn't that a shame? It's all about money with the Watchtower. And, they're continuing to see a declining membership, all this negative publicity, and all of those, as even Stefan said, all of us XJW activists, it's all coming down on them. And the day that they really realize they have nowhere to go, they'll get no money from anybody, they're losing members, they're going to have to say, okay, fine, we're not going to shun people anymore. That might just be around the corner. It might be. And I want to just share some things as well as we go down and discuss this. Right now, I have to tell you, the Watchtower, they are terrible at damage control. They're really crappy with that. They're all over the map. There are people who study how to, say things during a crisis or when things are really bad. Watchtower should hire some of these people because, really, people are beginning to read right through them. They're terrible at damage control. But I'll tell you one thing they're good at. They're good at gaslighting and moving the goalpost. That's what they're good at. They're going to blame it on you. They're gonna tell you that all of this stuff, and these people that were shunning and not showing love to witnesses, they're gonna say they were extremist, and they were running ahead of the organization, and that's what they're gonna say, just like they did back in 1975, right? They didn't blame themselves; they blamed everyone for running ahead. So now, if they in this broadcasting they did this month for November, and I can just hear it now, the brothers and sisters talking about it in the congregation, and they say, gee, don't you think that Brother Jones really showed unkindness to that disfellowship brother who came to the meeting? And then they're going to say, yeah, he was an extremist. He should be loving, not cruel. Well, they all were that way, but they're going to blame it on the rank and file. The Watchtower was a master at that. They'll say that, some brothers took this too far. You've heard that phrase before, right? Some brothers took this too far. Yeah. I mean, how far were you supposed to take it? And what's worse, they even blame the victims. They do. They'll spin it something like some brothers, though well-meaning, were overly zealous when applying scriptural principles. This is the type stuff the Watchtower does, and it makes it sick. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Well, I'll tell you, really, when you stop and think about it, they're only going to change when the money stops, and maybe the money's stopping. I'll tell you what. In Norway, they're going to lose about $1 billion, not $1 billion, but $1 million, about $1.25 million a year. Now, that doesn't seem like much. I mean, that's probably chump change to the Watchtower. But now we got Sweden. Sweden, they're going to lose about $3 million a year. The government isn't going to give them. And now we got France that's putting the Watchtower on the chopping block. Oh, that's even bigger. They could probably use 6, 8, 10 million over there. So you have Slovakia and some other Europe, Belgium, Sweden we know, but Belgium and other countries are also looking into the shenanigans that are going on in the Watchtower. So we're looking at some serious money. So the shunning will stop when the money stops. That's period. So anyways, I'm just thinking, if I was a Jehovah's Witness right now, I'd be confused. Well, would you be confused? I would be totally confused. I wouldn't know what to do anymore. Does my wife wear slacks to the meeting? I mean, can she wear slacks out in service? Should I wear a tie when I go to the convention? I mean, should I wear my beard or not? I'd be confused. I wouldn't know what to do. I really wouldn't know what to do. But I'll tell you what. See, the word is already getting out. The word is already getting out to do this, loving approach. And I can tell you this with full credibility because I've witnessed this in the last month. And maybe there's people listening to this program that have also witnessed some of the Jehovah's Witnesses, their relatives and friends, that are a little more kind to them. Now, let me tell you, I just last month, I stopped in to see my father. He lives in Pennsylvania. He's 102 years old, and he lives down. He's not a witness, but all of my family members live there, and they take care of my father, and that's nice. They do that, but they're all loyal witnesses, and they haven't talked to me for 20 years. So I pulled up there with Susan a month ago to my father's house, and when I was leaving, my nephew that I never met before, never talked to him before, he talked to my wife Susan and I. Now, he's a loyal Jehovah's Witness. And I even said to Susan, that is unusual. That's unusual. He talked to us. And he talked, for a while. It wasn't like just, hi, how are you? We talked a little bit. And that was very unusual. And then the next day when I got back to Massachusetts, my sister talked to me on the phone. I called my father to see how he's doing. And he was with my sister. And my sister wanted to talk to me. And she says, she's a full-fledged Jehovah's Witness. Haven't talked to her really in 20 years and that type of a conversation. And she brought up that, gee, Ricky, she calls me Ricky. She says, Ricky, I love you. I want you to know that. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I think that's maybe what's spurring this on. The witnesses are getting the, little clues that, hey, maybe we can talk to these people. But then again, I have mixed feelings over this. I really, really do. I mean, does the Watchtower have that much control? Well, they can turn people on and off like that? Is my sister only talking to me because the Watchtower is saying she now can? Or is she doing it out of a loving spirit? I mean, do you see the problems this can create? I mean, in fact, I've also got information coming to the 6 Screens that a lot of the ex-witnesses, they're not happy over this either. They're saying, well, my mother hasn't talked to me for 20, 25 years. All of a sudden now she's going to talk. Oh, I'm not going to talk to her. I'm going to shun her. Now, I'm not saying to do that, but this is the word I'm getting, that now what's going to happen is a lot of these people who have been shunned for many years, they're going to shun those now reaching out to them. It's a real mess. The Watchtower, they're bad at damage control. It's all about money, though. That's all it is. Then I wonder, how sincere the Watchtower is, too. There's such flip-floppers and con men and really scandalous. It's just hard to even believe any word that comes out of their mouth. So, go ahead, Donald.
Rick, it's really interesting that they decide how you are to think, what you're supposed to do, and they're controlling people's minds. That's what they do. They're mind controllers, and what they believe, the witnesses, that is, the individual witnesses, believe that whatever the governing body says to do or not to do, that's considered law to them. So, if the governing body says don't speak to these people, then they're going to follow that because they're taught to follow the governing body. And I'd like to say one more thing to those who are in Norway and Sweden. You guys need to go back and look at all their previous history, because even though they're making all these changes, if you go back and watch their previous videos on shunning and blood transfusions and things like that, you're going to see a whole different organization. But also look at the Shepherd the Flock of God book. Look at not just the current one, but the previous ones, because they changed that book and they changed it to try to please you guys.
The thing about it is, Donald, sorry to cut you. The thing about it is the rank and file have no way to access the Shepherd the Flock of God book.
No,
that is primarily for elders. The rank and file, they wouldn't know where to search for that.
Yeah, what I'm speaking to is the people who are dealing with the witnesses, not the people themselves. Yeah, I know the rank and file cannot read the Shepherd the Flock of God book, but the ones who are involved in dealing with the witnesses as far as getting their money, the governments, they need to look at that book. They need to look really deep into what this religion is doing to people, because they are harming people. They are also killing people through their policies. I mean, people have died because of their policies and stuff. That's why I say it's totally evil. It's definitely evil. The organization is definitely evil.
There's no ands, ifs, or buts about that, Donald. Hey, 602, do you want to come on and say something? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey, Rick, so I agree with what you're saying. This is Gigi, and I can see where some Jehovah's Witnesses are going to start talking to their family members. But like my sister Annabelle in Yuma, Arizona, she was probably will talk to Jesse. I can see that happening. But she will not talk to me. And the reason why that is because I made it very clear to her that until she signs and votes for me, I ain't talking to her. And this is, and I'm not joking around. This is the difference between, we have a feminization of men that's happening in America. In World War II, the war generation, they told the emperor cult leader of Japan, no, it's unconditional surrender. We don't care what you think. We don't care about your opinions. It's over. And until you surrender unconditionally, there is no peace. This is the problem with a lot of our ex-Jehovah's Witness brothers. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And when you start letting Jehovah's Witnesses want to have one foot in the Kingdom Hall and then one foot being friends with you, no, you will never have lasting peace. You will look what happened when the Americans were ruled by real men. They said no, unconditional surrender. That's the only thing that we're going to accept. Look at Japan and America now. Japan and America now have great relationships. Why? Because real men do not pave their future with good intentions. There's certain things that are truths that are unalienable. They will forever stand the test of time. And one of that is evil has to be defeated at all costs. The Jehovah's Witnesses are evil. And my sister Annabelle knows until she votes for me, she ain't talking to me. I'm not going to let her pretend that the dead people, the pedophiles in her congregation, didn't exist. So, Annabelle, unconditional surrender. You will sign the document. Or you will die not signing the document, like my brother Joe, who died not signing. And that's fine. But at least at the day when we're reunited, Jesus has us all together, and we all have to pay for our sins. That's fine. But I'm not going to be there with Jesus or whoever, my maker, and say I was a weak man and I went along to get along. Hell no. Hell no. Do you think Jesus is going to allow people into his kingdom without unconditional surrender, that he's Jesus Christ? No. Unconditional surrender is what I expect from my sister.
Well, stand by your thoughts on that one, GB. Just hang in there and don't let her get the best of you. You know?
No, that's the only way to have great relationships. We have to call the spade a spade.
Well, I know you're a man that does that, but no, that's well. Here's the thing. I mean, some of the people are wondering, just to bring them up to speed here. She won't vote for you. So tell the audience what you're talking about when she won't vote for you. They have no idea.
Well, back in 2016, when we were protesting out at headquarters, you were there recording it while we were knocking door to door at headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was GG for GB. I was running for governing body, and you could mail a ballot with my name and my face. It says, I like this guy. He's a Mexican American. We need Spanish speaking brothers in the governing body, yada yada. And it was a play on the governing, it was a play on governing body. Like they're unelected. Why can't we get why can't we get representation? No religion without representation. If we can't have no taxation without representation, you mean to tell me we can't have religion without representation? So I made it very clear to my sister Annabelle, your husband is a former circuit overseer hiding pedophiles in the West Congregation of Yuma, Arizona, and you mean to tell me that I'm just going to sit here and pretend it didn't happen? Oh, hell no, over my dead body. And that's why I flew airplanes over conventions in San Diego saying, stop hiding child abuse, jwfacts.org, Yeah. And I did it while my brother-in-law was giving a speech, my brother-in-law was giving a speech talking about Jehovah, and I'm there giving testimony in Jehovah with an airplane saying, stop hiding child abuse, jwfacts.com. So the point is that, we may never have peace on planet Earth, but I believe in the future, that we'll be around for millennia, and this will all be water under the bridge. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And you should never, ever allow a Jehovah's Witness to play both sides. You either are on the side of the truth or the lie, night or day. Jesus says you're either hot or cold. You can't play both sides.
All right. Well, listen, that's we take that as food for thought here. But thank you, Gilbert. And thank you for. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. So, anyways, we're still talking about the government here. We're talking about how they're coming down on the Watchtower. So, we have Jeffrey Jackson comes out with this Watchtower video this month update, and actually saying that it'd be loving to show love and not cruelty to people who have been removed. excuse me, that would be disfellowshipped. That's a new term they use for disfellowship. But the point that I wanted to be able to come to grips with here, they did this because they know the government agencies have got them under the microscope right now. So the government agencies are going to listen to broadcasting this month. Oh, look at that. They're being nice. I don't see them really showing any unloving acts toward people who leave. They're actually encouraging love in the congregation. So, see, this is something that really bothers me because I just hope the government's smart enough to pick up on their deceptive practice here. This is deliberate deception on the part of the Watchtower. They made this video, this broadcast this month to appeal to the governments. And the governments, I hope, are smart enough that will pick up on it. I hope they're not going to buy what the Watchtower is selling because it's incorrect. It's totally, they're totally lying at this point. So I'm just thinking that the lawyers, the judges who watch this video or who have the Watchtower under investigation, they'll see how deceptive, how much BS they're actually throwing out here. And I think they're smart enough, and I hope that actually happens. I really hope. Well, you're on 6 screens, JW World News. Who has anything to say about this? What do you think? You think the Watchtower will soften up and let the relatives and friends that are looking at us as apostates, as bad, mentally diseased people and don't want a thing to do with us? Will the Watchtower lighten up? Or is this a big facade? Is this only a show so that the governments don't shut them off? What do you think?
Well, this is actually more than a big facade.
Yeah.
It was just a big thing, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Rick, that the Norwegian government, the other governments in Europe, they need to look at this video because all they're doing is changing so they can get their money. It's all about their money. That's all they want. It's not about the people.
Yeah.
It's about the people
Motivating
themselves. They can
well,
make money. And yeah, it's a big, huge,
all right.
gigantic facade.
Well, thank you, Donald. Let's go to Calgary, Canada. 403. Run with us.
Yeah, hi, Rick. Hey, I wanted to ask you something. I don't keep up on this stuff too much anymore, but a couple of things. Do you recall them? I forget what year it was. It seemed like it was. If I had to quote a year, I think it was back in the 80s, 86 or something like that. They did this one time before, said we could talk to disfellowshipped people, and it didn't last a year even. They did as you say, a flip flop on it. Do you recall that period of time? Was that?
Oh yeah. It was right around 83, from what I remember, and a lot of witnesses were mixed up. Then they didn't know what to do, but they relaxed and just fellowshipping, kind of very similar to what they're doing now. And then
So what? I remember that. I remember that. Hi, how are you? Brian, the thing they used to say that you had to, where you could say hello to people and that kind of stuff, they used the part of the scripture that said, let them be as a man of the nations. And, how do you treat people of the nations? So that's what they were playing around with at that time.
Right. What years were you in Bethel again there, Zach? Were you in Bethel at that time?
No, that was before me. I was there mid to late 80s.
Okay, but anyway, you remember that, and I know we've talked about it occasionally over the years, even on 6 screens here. But it seemed like all of a sudden, about 9 months later, they changed their mind, and we started to not be able to do that anymore.
And remember they
dialed it back.
They gave illustrations about what happens if you are driving down the street. I think it was a Watchtower study. If a person's driving and they see
a disfellowshipped woman, and maybe her car is broken down? Do you offer assistance or not?
Right.
So those are the kinds of things.
Well, Rick, yeah. So Rick, do you think that your sisters have how many sisters? You've got two sisters, I think.
Actually, I get three sisters that are still witnesses, and the one sister, like I was saying earlier, my father lives in Pennsylvania. He's about 300 miles from where I live. And there's a whole witness clan down there. They're all my relatives. I get like 40 or 50 relatives, nieces, nephews, cousins, all down there. And so they're taking care of them. I give them credit for doing that. But they never would talk to me. I'd drive in. They haven't seen me for 20 years. And they would just avoid me. Yeah.
I would say that's a good sign, Rick. Irrespective of what I understand, TV for governing bodies got a different take on it. I disagree with it because the thing is, life is short, and families don't have much time to spend together, even if they're not divided. So I would love to see that maybe they'll stick with it this time and be a little bit more reasonable with people who disagree with them. I think of my friend Kurt. He's got family members like you. They haven't spoken to him. They won't talk to him for years on end now, and stuff like that. Now, what about your daughters? Have you heard anything from them? I know you've got some daughters.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that my children, there's only one that's still a loyal witness, and the others are more or less threw the towel in. Really, they're coming out. One of them in particular, she called me a couple of years ago, out of the blue, really. Well, it was actually my grandson, and I get a load of this. I mean, one day, well, he wrote me on Facebook, and he said, "Grandpa," he says, "I think it's terrible that the Watchtower put a wall between you and me." And when he's a little kid, geez, I used to take him and put him in the car, let him drive the car around the neighborhood, and took him out to Walmart, bought him toys. And of course, then when I left the Watchtower, they all shunned me. But he woke up, he smelled the coffee, and he said, they tried to put a wall between us. And that's what the Watchtower does, Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, no, really. But the thing is, there is going to be a lot of witnesses. They're never going to leave. In fact, it is so true that the governing body or the Watchtower magazine can turn them on and off to certain things because of their abject, slavish loyalty to them. But nevertheless, I would rather that they say, you can talk to. Like I've got relatives like that too that won't talk to me, and I would like it if they did. And particularly from my wife's family, there's tons and tons and tons of them all over the place here, and I would rather not. I would rather have a warm conversation with them than furtive glances when they see me in public, if you know what I mean. So I hope that it's a sign of something better. That's how I feel about it anyway. And
you need to call them up and keep talking to them every week. Once a week, call them.
Who's that, Donald? Donald, yeah, no. Well, easier said than done. They won't. My wife does that. We're trying to get a hold of her daughters. Haven't spoken to her for many years as well, 20 years. And I got thinking, how good it would be. I mean, do you realize, in fact, how good it would be? And I'm in your camp, Brian. I'm in your camp. I wouldn't not want to have them, I wouldn't make rude comments or anything. I wouldn't say, well, you haven't talked to me for 20 years. I'm not talking to you. I would welcome them with open arms because I know it's not them. I know it's the Watchtower. It's not them. In fact, sometimes I feel the person who is shunning us, the witness that's shunning us, is hurting more inside than we are. I mean, I can't.
Sometimes I agree with you there, Rick.
Yeah.
I agree with that because I know a lot of these people deep inside, and I know what they're really like, and it is slavish loyalty to the principle that the organization or the church, if you want to call it that, but the organization is supreme. And the moment they're given an opportunity to show their real emotions, many of them will and did. Like that incident, we mentioned back for that year or so that they let us talk to disfellowship people in the 80s. Everybody was happy about it. At least that was my experience. And I think I'm happy about hearing this. I mean, it does show how messed up they are from the top down, but at least I do know that there are a lot of really good people there. They're trying their best to do the best they can with what they've got, and they've got this religion in their brain, and now maybe they can at least speak to some of their relatives that they weren't allowed to before. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, Rick. I just wanted to ask you about see how things are going in your life and with your family. That's nice that they're starting to talk to you a bit.
Well, thank you. Someone wanted to say a little. Is that you, Maverick? Do you want to say a little, Brian? Yeah, go ahead.
This is Zachary. I was just going to say, I think that happened toward the end of the 70s, and you could say hello to a person in the kingdom. You know, you see them in the hall and you say hello to them, or you see them on the street, say hello. Yeah. Rick made that point earlier that during that video they said the brother said something like, or somebody was thinking, and they could say something at the hall. I think that there's always been a separation with how people who are disfellowshipped are treated. For example, when they had the arrangement, I don't know if it ever officially stopped, but they had an arrangement where elders were supposed to visit disfellowshipped ones once a year. But they were not required, I think that's the kind of language they used. They were not required to visit people who were apostate because they didn't want them to have to, the faith of the elders to be eroded. But so my point is there was two different ways. The group that you would visit were supposed to be people who were inclined that way. And so it sounds like whatever they're going to do, there will be a difference with between two groups of disfellowshipped ones or former witnesses, where people who are inclined that way, they may be treated one way, and people who are not as inclined might be treated a different way. It might not be a strict line of demarcation between the way they treat those groups, but there will be some difference based on how the person seems to act. I'm suspecting.
Well, thank you, Zach, for sharing that. I remember you brought up Man of the Nations. I do remember that. I tried to even come to grips with how do you treat a man of the nations? So I got thinking, well, a man of the nations would be like the man that works, or it could be the woman that works at Home Depot. And you don't fraternize with them. You'll say hi to them. Hi, I'm looking for lumber here today. Can you help me? That's how I thought, and that's how I would deal with people that would disfellowship. And I never got over that. I never shunned people after that, even though the Watchtower went back to wanting people to do that. But I always treated them like a man of the nations. And that's how you're supposed to do it. Geez, you're not supposed to hate people because they don't want to be part of your organization. But the Watchtower actually has, in fact, in many publications, many of the Watchtower publications deliberately, in fact, I remember in July, I believe it was 1961 Watchtower, it says that you would hate an apostate. Hate. I mean, geez, you don't want to use strong language like that. I mean, that all of this. That's why they wanted all this literature gone, because this is all indicting. This is indicting to the Watchtower. Yeah.
They have always looked at apostates. They've been at the extreme end of this other side of the spectrum. Apostates, really stay away from them. If in the olden days, they were called the evil slave.
Yeah, that's right.
So they have always exiled apostates.
Well, I'm sorry, in fact, I'll get right to you, but when I was disfellowship, Zach, that's what they said I was, because I was a partaker. So they called me an evil slave. Now, geez, I mean, it didn't bother me. Go ahead, brother. You came on, brother. What did you want to say?
Hi, it's Maverick again. I'm just going to say, I think I've got a good question. I'd ask a witness if they started to want to talk to me. I'd say, is it you who wants to talk to me? Is it you? Do you want to talk to me, or are you just following orders? Or are you following orders? And if they say, no, I want to talk to you, and then the next question I'll ask them is, well, what took you so long? And leave it at that.
Well, that's good, Maverick. No, but I'll tell you something. That's your first response you'd make, and I'm encouraging the audience here tonight to respond nicely. But I got some information coming from people into the 6 screens in view of this new talk they're giving on treating the disfellowship ones with a little more kindness. I got a number of people that actually gave me information saying that I'm not going to do it. My sister, she hasn't talked to me for so many years, and now that the Watchtower turned the light back on again, she can now talk. I'm not going to talk to her. I wouldn't take that stand. I'll go with Brian on this one. We want to open the door up. Life is too short, like you say, too. I know it's an old euphemism, but it really is. And realize it's the Watchtower. It's not the people. It's the Watchtower. When I think of my sister, even my mother died. My mother died as a loyal witness, not talking to me. I tried to talk to her. She wouldn't talk to me. And so, but I don't hold her hostage. I don't say, oh, my mother was bad. I say the Watchtower is bad because she was following their directions. It's like Gestapo in the Nazi regime. Some of those Gestapo people were nice, but I mean, they had to follow Hitler's direction. If they didn't, they'd shoot him. I mean, right there on the spot. I mean, they had to Heil Hitler. They had to go along with everything he said, or they were dead ducks too. That's just like in the witness world. Absolutely.
Well, Rick, they don't, all this shunning stuff. Jesus never shunned anyone, not one bit. There's not any place in Scripture anywhere where you can find that Jesus himself actually shunned people. Matter of fact, he spoke with apostate sinners and stuff. So Watchtower has been doing the opposite. They've been going against what Jesus said because, Jesus said to love people, and shunning people is not love at all. The shunning policy, the disfellowshipping policy, is not a loving arrangement. It is not loving at all. It is evil to the core. It's part of Satan's system of things. It's what Satan does. Satan wants people to do that kind of stuff to take away from what Christ taught them, because Christ did not teach people to shun people at all. So this whole shunning policy thing is straight from the devil himself.
Well, thank you, Donald. That's a good thought. I agree with you 100%. But, I wanted to touch another thought here tonight on JW World News. I wanted to just briefly talk about dating in the Watchtower. This is absurd, the way Watchtower deals with younger people, and even people who are not younger, who would like to court a person or to know a person and to be able to even think that they'd like to be with that person the rest of their life. And I'm thinking this organization is so messed up. We're talking tonight how mixed up minds Jehovah's Witnesses must have. How much mixed up minds do they have when it comes to marriages? And really, you have to understand, and that I do, and you guys do too, in the Kingdom Halls. How many couples did you really think loved one another? How many couples? I mean, I can look back, and there were some, but most they were bad marriages, and they were bad marriages because they got off to a bad start. And well, you'll marry him because he's spiritually minded. Yeah, he might be the worst alcoholic, abusive person in the world, but well, he's spiritually minded. Marry him. Vice versa. There's a sister. Oh, what a wonderful sister! She's a pioneer. Did you want to say something? Who wants this?
Yeah, number one, there wasn't very many to choose from.
Well, no, there wasn't. So what you have here is you have an organization that's, the field is very limited. So you're almost forced to marry people you don't even like. That's why there's so many marriages. But the point I wanted to bring up, hold on.
Yeah, well, my first wife, I didn't know. Let's see, I guess I knew her a couple years before we got married.
Yeah. So did you date her?
Well, what happened was, I don't know if you call it dating, but I was over at her grandparents' house a lot. But then I had to go back east, so I did. And then when I came back, I didn't know nothing about her background. She was horribly molested from 7 to 10. And I remember after we got married, a couple of months after we got married, I woke up and I hear this wailing. On the side of the bed, she was in the fetal position, just wailing. It just scared me to death. All I could do is just get her a pillow, put it under her head and a blanket. That was my first wife.
Well, that's terrible.
I hate pedophiles.
Well, we all should hate pedophiles.
And then it's not like the organization doesn't know anything about a pedophile. Hot Lick, what about Leo Greenleaf? I mean, he's kicked out. He was in the governing body.
Oh, yeah, no. In fact, I have a friend right up here in Lowell, Massachusetts, that claims he was raped as a young boy.
Yeah, but he didn't get this fellowship. Greenleaf didn't get this fellowship, as
Oh.
far as I know. He just got shipped to L.A.
That's right.
From L.A. to New Orleans.
No, you're right with that. But well, thank you for sharing that.
And then turn around and just fellowship a young person who made a mistake. There's no second chance of just disfellowship him and stuff. But Greenleaf gets away, and he's supposed to be sitting right next to Jesus Christ.
Well, you're right. It's just really a corrupt organization. They cover this stuff up, which is bad. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Rick,
Yes.
I wanted to add something, Rick.
Sure.
The word love, the older I grow, the more detestable that word is. It has been so twisted. And I will agree with the last caller. Most of the people I know married the first person they dated in Watchtower. And you know what? The elders are calling them on the carpet if suddenly they weren't dating them. I related earlier how an elder had talked to me. He had broken off his engagement twice to another congregation overseer's daughter and jerking me around because I was marrying someone unacceptable. But I will tell you this, there is no one in that organization that knows anything enough to marry any woman. And every brother I knew at the last hall I went to, the single brothers, they pretty much were so repressed. They had sex on the first date with the girl. It's like, God, what the hell kind of men are you producing? They can't even resist. You know what? I'm not even going to go there. It's disgusting, but in Watchtower, love is a perverted thing. Completely. That's my thought.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just a good thought because it really is. It's messed up. They have to marry the first person that comes down the pike. And I told my story here about my son, and it really ticked me off when I was living in Florida. And my son was in the Kingdom Hall with me, 17 years old, almost 18. So it was a young, pretty little girl, little Irish girl in the congregation. Name was Cheryl. And so he started liking her. And, he'd kind of sneak around and he'd go over to her house and pick her up at school in his car and then drive off. And so it got the father of the girl really upset. So he wants to go to the elders. We got to go to the elders, Rick, and tell them that Jack is trying to date Cheryl. So I said, just let it be. It's a normal thing. Just don't bring it up to the elders. They'll make a federal case out of it. So he did know we had to go to the elders. So we go in the elders' room in the back. And of course, they bring it up that Jack, my son, is meeting in private with this girl. And so, anyways, they said he shouldn't be doing that. He should not be doing that. This is a normal thing to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you like each other, and you date. The word is date. So, anyways, the elders said, well, you shouldn't be doing that. So I brought up to the elders in Florida. I said, well, look, can I have, why don't Cheryl's mother and father come over, and they can come to my house. We can watch a movie, have some popcorn and some soda, and we can all watch a movie together. They said, nope, that's a date too. That's a date. Unless they have marriage in mind, that can happen. So I'm saying, gee, the girl's only 16. My son's only 17. I'm saying, how are you going to have marriage in mind? And then what really got me ticked off this week is there was an article just recently in the Watchtower saying that you really shouldn't kiss. You kiss, you give a little kiss. I mean, that's what you do if you're dating, if you really like a person. So now the Watchtower is saying that, they're saying it's really something you got to think about. Only if you really feel that you're going to marry this person should you kiss them. I mean, that is how in heaven's name's sake are you going to marry some person? I mean, obviously, I'm not for sex before marriage. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think that's a good thing. I know what happens, but I'm not for that. But kissing, I mean, even some brothers and sisters who are kind of in love with one another, they won't even sit next to each other in the Kingdom Hall because they feel that, that wouldn't be appropriate. This is how foolish this has got. And you're supposed to have a chaperone. You're supposed to have really, if you're 40 years old and you're a man and you say, gee, I'd like to find a wife, and I find a Jehovah's Witness wife, you're supposed to have a chaperone with you? I mean, is that sensible? I mean, these are things that, now that I'm out of the organization, I'm saying, what wacko thinking? This is not normal. This is mental. This is mental illness. I think you all agree with me. I really do. Yeah. So it's unbelievable. Yeah. So dating, I mean, marriages, and just go right back to that. Marriages in the Watchtower. I don't know how many people really in love, but I'm not going to say that there are some. I'm not going to say there's not. I love my wife. I did. I love both my wives. But the one I married when I was still, in my younger years, and she was a witness, so that worked out all right. But so many marriages didn't. But I wanted to bring that up tonight, and and that's why the other thought I wanted to bring up as well is a lot of people I get a lot of emails, and I want to tell everyone who sends me emails and sends me news articles for my news, thank you for that. So I've been getting a lot of people writing me and telling me about how tired the witnesses are looking in the Kingdom Hall. He says, Rick, many of them have told me there's no enthusiasm. They all look beat to death. They're just to the point of caving in. The economy's got them down. All the changes in the Watchtower's got them down. That article in the November Watchtower, that is a croaker. That is really disturbing a lot of witnesses. And just to remind you what that November article in the Watchtower Study Edition talked about is it was telling the witnesses not to be saddened or too overly concerned if Armageddon doesn't come on their lifetime, because now the Watchtower's telling the baby boomers that, that you might die before Armageddon comes. Now that's just what people have to hear, right? That's just what people, that's just what you have to hear after giving your whole life 50 years of loyalty, 50 years of your money, your time, your effort. And now they're telling you, well, You might die before Armageddon comes. No wonder why people are tired. Jeez. I mean, how in goodness name's sake can you be alive and lively and lovable and everything is great when you get news like that? Jeez, I mean, you want to talk about being depressed. But that's what people are telling me. They're writing me, say, Rick, these people are just, they look like walking zombies. They look like they're in some type of a trance. And it's true. If you're listening into the conversation here tonight, and we actually have loyal, well, maybe not totally loyal witnesses, but card carrying, baptized witnesses that listen to the 6 screens. I will tell you that as a fact. And I'll
carrying.
What's that?
Blood card carrying Jehovah's Witness.
That's right. No, we have blood card carrying Jehovah's Witnesses call in. No, I had a woman call in not too long ago. She said, I just had to call the 6 screens. I'm upset what's going on in my Kingdom Hall. She says, it's really bothering me. Nobody's showing love in there. She says, they're not showing me love. So, we get them coming in here from time to time. But,
but the elders that are bullies, really, I've had to run into a few of them. That wasn't right, what they did. They're bullies in the congregation, bullies to the people. If you work in an assembly, I worked as a cook at the assembly, and this one elder that's known for being a bully started bullying me, and I said, well, you know what? If you don't back off, you're going to be cooking this roast. I've already worked 16 hours. I don't need to do your job for you.
No, you didn't need it. You didn't need it. You didn't. But it's...
See, the thing is, what I don't understand about is Greenland's, and he didn't even get this fellowship for what he did, but they shipped him out to get him away from Brooklyn. And then they're shitty. That got kicked out because of homosexuality.
Yeah.
They're governing body members.
Well, there's a lot of...
Middle 70s.
There's a lot of... You said it earlier, brother. You talked about when you were going to go to Bethel, and they told you, there's a lot of homosexuals there. You're absolutely right. Now, the Watchtower in Sweden, and I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but right now the Swedish government is coming down on the Watchtower. They're very upset with not just the shunning. The major thing the Swedish government's upset with, as they say, Jehovah's Witnesses do not allow homosexuality. They do not allow marriages. Now, you go ahead.
You're absolutely right, and then they say that if you're a non-practicing homosexual, you can be a Bethelite or an elder or a ministerial servant now.
Yeah, so that's the question.
I think it's a bunch of bull crap.
I never heard of the word non-practicing homosexual. I don't know that.
Non-practicing homosexual.
Well, no, I know it is. I've heard the term, but I never heard anybody else use that term.
Well, you heard it from me. I say it.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah. Well, excellent. Thank you, brother, for checking in with us. Well, anyways, anyone else has anything to say?
Rick.
Yes.
Oh, this is Junction Guy from Tennessee.
Hello, Junction Guy. You doing all right?
Yeah.
Good.
Do what?
I'm glad you're doing good.
Thank you. I was going to say, I saw on one of the XJW boards not too long ago, maybe a year ago, maybe 2, this poster came in and said he was from Sweden. I believe it was Sweden, and that he was in the first LGBT-friendly congregation. And I don't know what became of the post. I don't know what was going on. I mean, just something I saw there.
Yeah, no, in fact, you're going to hear more of it. And, I've said at the outset of the show, and I've said it numerous times here on the 6 screens, what the Watchtower does, and all high control groups do it. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but they tell you before they tell you, then they tell you while they're telling you, and then they tell you what they told you. We are in the early stages right now of the Watchtower telling us before they tell us. Now, there was an article not too long ago about non-practicing in the Watchtower. non-practicing homosexuals in the organization. And I suppose the way that they look at that is they could be a homosexual, but they can't practice, sexual activity. So they would allow that. Okay. Now, I never heard that until probably about a year ago, 2 years ago, they talked about these non-practicing homosexuals. So they're kind of telling you before they tell you. Now, the Swedish government right now is really coming down strong. They're going to lose $3 million a year from Sweden. Now, that's not a lot of money to the Watchtower. I mean, that's probably, like I say earlier, chump change. But, this Swedish deal could really have rippling effects. Norway's cut the funding off. Sweden could cut the funding off. France is next. Slovakia. There's a number of Belgium could be on the list, as well as a number of European countries that are coming down the Watchtower. So they could lose big money. Now in France, they could probably lose upwards of $10 million a year. That's a lot of money, even for the Watchtower. So they don't want this rippling effect, so they might have to change. I don't think the Watchtower is going to come out tomorrow and say homosexuality is all right. I mean, they're going to have a tough time with that one. I don't know how they're going to. They'll figure something. I mean, they're good at it. The Watchtower is good at being deceptive. They'll come up with something, I'm sure. But this is how it works. They tell us before they tell us. And they've been telling us here now for quite a while, about the removing. 6 months ago, they came up with this idea, well, we're not going to call it disfellowshipping anymore. We're going to call it removed. And then the reason why they did that is because they know disfellowshipping has a harsh sound. In other words, does it sound better to say I was removed from the congregation or I was disfellowshipped? Disfellowship kind of implies, man, you are dirt. You can't fellowship with us. It's got to removed, even though that's a harsh word too, but it's a little softer. These guys are good at coming up with words, and semantics is all it is. It's the same thing, but it just sounds a little better. Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. But I have to tell you, really, and I'm a firm believer of this. If you have a bad company and you are selling lousy products and you're doing a crappy job, eventually your business will close. This is where the Watchtower is right now. They got a crappy product. It's going to close. Yep. Yes, Zach.
Rick, I think I can't disagree with you. Disfellowship is a stronger word than removed. But I how do you say this? Sometimes you can do a thing and you can have an excuse for it. So I think that the reason, not necessarily the reason, but what they're doing and changing from using the word disfellowshipped or disfellowshipping is they're using the term that Paul used when he said, remove the wicked one from among yourselves. That's in 1 Corinthians something.
Right. Now that's, I'm glad you, I was just,
I think that was in the Watchtower.
I was just,
that one.
Yes, I was just thinking of that today. See, and a lot of people then they carry that 1 Corinthians passage even further. That was the Apostle Paul, not to get too deep in the scriptures here on Saturday night, but the Apostle Paul was going to visit the Corinthian congregation. And there was a man in the congregation that was having sexual relations with his mother or mother-in-law. Nobody's really sure who, but it wasn't right. It wasn't right. So the Apostle Paul says when he gets to the Corinthian congregation, something's got to be done. So the Apostle Paul went to the Corinthian congregation and they removed the man that was causing these problems. But the thing is, the witnesses even take this a little bit further. They'll come out and say, okay, so the Apostle Paul said you wouldn't even eat with such one. Now, that's where they get this, don't have anything to do with these people, but that is not what the passage is really implying when it says not even eat with such a one. That means communing with such a one. The Apostle Paul wasn't saying we have to be cruel to this man and treat him like he's a second-class citizen, but he can't come and commune with us. He can't have the bread and the wine. So, but the witnesses take it as, going out to lunch or something. It's not that, but that's what they do, Zach, Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't have a soft spot from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet for the Watchtower organization. Now, there's many witnesses I do like, and most of them, there's only a few that I can say I don't like, but most of them I do like, and they're nice people and they mean well. But they're going to be hung out to dry here very shortly. I don't know what's going to happen to they're going to lose their minds. I mean, they're going to lose their minds. Just in this November article I just talked about, Armageddon's not coming in a lifetime. That's not a person could lose their mind with a statement like that. That could be mind blowing. It really could. You can't just say that. Who's this, Nadine? Yes.
No, this is Fran.
Hi, Fran. Hi, Fran.
Nadine is my sister.
Well, you sound like her. Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. How are you doing, Rick?
I'm good.
Good, good. I think there's some, I know Carol in the chat and some of the folks are concerned, and we listened to the fellow that called in, but if he wants to give us a call and we don't ask names or we don't share his number or anything like that, just somebody to talk to, we can give him our number. If he's still listening, my husband Joe and we were witnesses for 36 years. We left when we were 70 years old, and we're going to be 74 in March. So it'll be almost 4 years that we've been out. And we have 4 adult children shunning us. But if the gentleman would like to call us privately, I'll give our number, and we can put it in the chat too. It's area code 315-221-0130. We're in central New York State, so we're Eastern Standard Time. And we do get a lot of calls, and we connect people, and so many things happening in the Watchtower, so many people leaving. And the other end of it that we do, not only do we support the ones that are leaving, but we tell the worldly people, that we're supposed to be so bad. We've met so many nice people because, well, we have a business, and after we do every transaction, we always give them our card that we made out. And people are just so shocked to hear that Jehovah's Witnesses hide pedophiles. And we say that they are squeaky clean. They look like that on the outside, but on the inside, they hide pedophiles. And we say most of the people in it are very nice. Matter of fact, we had a lady today. She said, my maintenance man is a witness. And we said, what's his name? And she said his name. And we said, oh, we know him. He was in our congregation. Tell him Joe and Fran said hi, and tell him to stop in sometime, So we try to be friendly. We want to convey that message that, look, we're here for ones that are leaving, either they're PMO, if they're physically in, mentally out, if they're questioning, or whatever, anything, we're here. We have a local meetup next week coming up. So anyway, I just wanted to let everyone know that's listening, especially if the gentleman is still on the line. We feel bad that, he has Parkinson's and he's had such a bad life, and, that he just wants to die. And I understand, because sometimes that's the only comfort that we can find is when we die. But that was it, Rick. Thank you for.
Well, thank you, Fran, and that fellow listening in too. If you didn't get the number, write to me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll give you Fran and Joe's number. They'd love to talk to you. And then they're not going to, no one's going to tattle on you or anything. The ex-witness world, we do keep secrets. We do. We don't really spread things around. We really don't. We'll keep your privacy where you want it to be. But I'll tell you what, folks, it's so amazing to be able to talk and see all these new ones that are coming into the program here, and all the people leaving the Watchtower right now. And I said at the outset of Linda James had a program on earlier, and I was telling her Six Screens has a Facebook group. You usually don't hear me promoting it much. There's a lot of people in there. There's close to 3,000 people that go into the Six Screens Facebook group. But what I've been noticing, and of course I'm the administrator of it, and I have it's a private group, so you have to know someone, or you have to be an ex-witness, or you have to be a person that's wiggling your way loose out of the Watchtower. So I have to approve everyone coming in, and I just don't let scammers come in, because a lot of these people join groups, then they try to sell you like jewelry, and they just try to do that. So it's a private group. So join the Six Screens JW group, and you'll find it very fascinating. But the point I wanted to make with that is, as of late, I'd say the last 5 months or so, I get up in the morning and I have all these messages from Facebook. And when you have a Facebook group, Facebook sends you people who want to join it. So I've got all these people as of late. I mean, it took us quite a while to get up to a couple thousand people, but now we're going to be close to 3,000 people within within probably 6 months. And I'm saying, what is going on? And I'm finding that people coming in, they're active Jehovah's Witnesses. And you say, well, how do I know that? Well, because what I do when I approve a person to be in our group, I look to see if they have mutual friends of mine. I look to see if they have other groups in common with mine. And I also look to see if they're Jehovah's Witnesses. And the way I can tell is they're on Jehovah's Witness sites. And you can't really even get in there. I try to get into Jehovah's Witness Facebook groups, and you have to answer all kinds of questions. They won't let you in. So these people are leaving the Watchtower. So this really, we're like the CIA here. The Watchtower is not going to just volunteer information. We have to dig for intelligence, just like the CIA does. So that's one little clue that's showing me there's tons of people leaving the Watchtower. And it's not just this group. I'm also the moderator on another, but like the Canadian Jehovah's Witnesses Facebook group. That is growing big time. So I'm the moderator for about 6 groups, and that's what I'm seeing. And these people are Jehovah's Witnesses that are starting to put feelers out. They're starting to put their antenna up. They're seeing something's wrong. So by all means, join the Six Screens Facebook group. And I think you'll really find it fascinating, because it's all about Watchtower, and it's all about what we do here on Saturday night. Well, I think that might be it. We're going to not have the duck game tonight. I'll explain to you. We're coming up with a new version of it, and I'll explain to you within the next week or so how we're going to do this from now on. But there'll be no duck game tonight. But listen, if you like the Six Screens and you like listening, see, friends, this is where ex-Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk. And this is more than just an audience. All of us on here together like a community. We have a lot of the same people come in every Saturday night, and they've been coming in for many, many years. So this is where they come to talk. And a lot of people, maybe they don't like me, or maybe they don't like some of the other programs that we have on the Six Screens. But this is a network where we have former Jehovah's Witnesses who have their own program. And in the 20 years of doing this, we've had 194 unique different programs on the Six Screens. So we give everyone a voice. In fact, even a man today called me and he said, Rick, the thing I like about the Six Screens of the Watchtower, he says, is you give everyone a voice, no matter who they are, whether they're talking about satanic ritual abuse, or whether they're talking about conspiracy theories, whether they're talking about subliminal imagery, Enochian magic, Freemasonry. You cover all the bases. And we do. And we've been doing that for 20 years. But like I told him, sometimes it backfires on me. Sometimes it backfires on me because people will take what some of the people on these programs say, and they say that I said it. And, you can't hold me hostage on that. I let everyone have a voice. I'm not in total agreement with everybody, but I let them at least have their voice. And we're going to continue doing that. And I want to thank everyone that has called in tonight and who calls into these programs. It's very important because when people hear you, I could sit here and bloviate all night long and tell you about the Watchtower. But when you hear people calling in, like the poor man tonight calling in with the Parkinson's disease, and we thank him for coming in. And when you hear Donald out of Texas, and you hear Brian out of Calgary, Canada, and you hear Stefan, and you hear Pixie, and you hear Nadine and Joe and Fran, and all these people, and King of Dots, you hear all these people. This really is reinforcing that I'm not the only one that has a bone to pick with the Watchtower. There's plenty of people, and that solidifies it when you listen in. And we got a lot of new ones listening in tonight. Our count is really high here on our YouTube and Facebook. So thank you all for coming in. Thank you all for chatting. And if you really like the 6 screens, give us a like. Give us a like and subscribe to our channel. And you'll find that what this does is it generates algorithms in the Facebook and YouTube so that this will reach more and more ex-witnesses who are looking for some support and hope. So give us a like, subscribe to our channel. It's not going to cost you anything. I don't do a lot of stuff here to raise money at the 6 screens. People say, Rick, you should monetize this. Well, I'm going to have to start having some commercials, but not in the middle. I'm not going to ask you to be a patron or you have to spend money extra to get certain programs. I'm not going to do that. But what YouTube is wanting me to put ads up. So someone's they're putting the ads up now. And not only that, when you put ads up, there's more in it for YouTube. But you'll have an ad probably coming up in the next couple of months before the program, okay? And that way that'll satisfy YouTube. But I've gone all these years. It's not monetized. I don't make a penny here. I'm not asking you to subscribe so I can put more money in the bank, but subscribe to reach more people. But I want to thank you all for what you do. Don't you guys ever give in, up, or out. Keep waving that flag of victory. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. There's no 6 screen Sunday tomorrow. It'll be next week. But we'll see you next week right here, Saturday night. Next Saturday night is 6 o'clock for Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower with Anne Marie. Thank you for being with us and spending time here on a Saturday night. Good night, everyone. In fact, I just want to make one more announcement. I'm going to leave the telephone lines open. So if you want to talk in private with all these people that are still on the phone line, the telephone number's right there. Jot it down if you want to join the conversation. You can meet a lot of people. It's like private. You're not all over the place. You can be a little more, you can feel a little happier probably in there that, I'm not being broadcasted all over the world. So the telephone line's open. So take advantage of it and enjoy the conversation that you have with people in there. Thank you, everyone. See you next Saturday night.